Okay. Chodesh Tov, ladies. It's so nice to see so many of you here. Thank you so much for hosting us here with this beautiful space. And thank you, Abigail, for asking me to speak. Today, we're going to be talking about the month of Sivan, which is the month of Gemini in English, and the unique holiday that we have coming up in 4 days or 5 days is the holiday of Shavuot, which is the Matan Torah, receiving of the Torah. So it's a pretty big holiday, and we're going to go deep on exploring how we can make the most out of this special day and really tap into the unique holy energy that's available to us on this day and what it's all about. And then we'll have a discussion. We'll break up into groups and have a discussion like we normally do, where we make it a little more personal and we talk about how to make it meaningful for you, for each individual. Okay, so we'll start out with connecting it back to Pesach, because really Shavuot can only be seen within the context of Pesach. So Pesach is actually Nisan, which is the first month of the year. And then we have Iyar, which is the second month. It's the month of the Omer, where we count the Omer. And then we have the third month, which is Sivan, which is when we're receiving the Torah. So there's a link between Pesach to Shavuot. Basically, Pesach was like a gift. Hashem pulled us out of Egypt, decided that we're going to be his nation, saved us, made miracles for us, split the sea for us. We were born as a nation. And now it's like, okay, we need to like let that sink in, let that process, journey in the desert until finally we got to the place of Har Sinai, prepared for a few days and received the Torah. So there's really a journey that's happening here. And what I really wanted to share with you today, which I hope you've gotten from a lot of the classes that we've done together, is that we're not talking about something that's happened in the past. We're talking about something that constantly happens every year. In Torah and Kabbalah, we learn that time is cyclical, right? That it keeps repeating itself. And we see this in nature, right? Just like every season repeats itself every year. Here's winter, now it's spring, now the summer, now the fall. The cycles repeat themselves, the same as spiritually, not just physically, because the physical manifestation in earth is really a manifestation of the spiritual energy that sustains it. So when we're talking about Shavuot, we're not just talking about something that happened thousands of years ago, but we're talking about something that we're going to be re-experiencing and reliving now. So that's why we learn this stuff, is because you don't want to miss out on this. Why would you say Matan Torah was so important, was such a huge deal? Why are we still talking about it thousands of years later? What was so unique to receiving the Torah at Har Sinai? Bless you. What was so special about it? Hashem chose us. How did he choose us? What did we actually experience at Har Sinai?
He spoke to us directly.
He spoke to us directly. Did Hashem ever speak to a whole nation and millions of people before or since? No. Can you think of any religion that claims that God spoke to the entire nation? Is there any? What do other religions claim? That God spoke to a person, to an individual, to one prophet, and that one prophet reveals a wisdom, but there's no other religion that claims that God spoke to an entire nation. And it's actually one of the ways that a lot of rabbis like to prove that the Torah is from Shamayim, is because if it didn't really happen, then at some point somebody would have said, okay, that did not really happen, like when you experience something as a group, it shapes you. I don't know about you, but if you've ever gone on a birthright trip or any of those group trips where like you're experiencing something together as a group, it really shapes the relationships that you have with those people because you experience them together as a group. And really, Matan Torah shaped us forever. So it was a pretty awesome experience. And just to set a scene for you, it was a mountain. Now, why would it be a mountain in the desert? What's so unique about being in the desert? Why would we receive the Torah in the desert, do you think? Why did Hashem take us to like, some place more beautiful and, full of green and waterfalls? Like, why the desert of all places? Exactly. In the desert, you're completely reliant on God. There's no water source. There's no food source. You're completely like looking up to Shemayim for every single thing that you need, right? And Hashem did provide, because we know that for 40 years, not 4 days, not 4 hours, not 4 weeks, 40 years, they were sustained by food from the heavens, right? So that's pretty phenomenal in of itself. So we know that when they were preparing for receiving of the Torah, they had to cleanse themselves, they had to change their clothes, they had to wash themselves, they had prep to do. But we also know that there's the 49 days of the Omer, there were the spiritual prep. Now, why would the Jews need to prep for receiving the Torah? Why would they need to do that? Why couldn't they just get the Torah as soon as they came out of Egypt? Why did they need to go through a spiritual cleansing process of 49 days until they received the Torah? Why was that necessary? Go ahead.
In Egypt, they were in a Hellenistic environment, and that everything was very like Hellenistic, and there's like 40 man level stomach. They said that they were
How would you define the word tum'ah for people who don't know what that means?
some like impurity. In what sense I would not know. I know that there was a lot of bad things going on in Egypt, and like they didn't necessarily have the choice to not be a part of it necessarily.
They were influenced by it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they also weren't as solid as a Jewish nation themselves. They were
Right.
They were slaves to other people.
Yes.
The first lead that slavery, understand that they're not a part of slavery, and then redefine themselves and stand all of this time.
Exactly. They had to spiritually cleanse themselves. That's part of what they were doing. So we know that once they received the Torah, do you think they were like up early? Do you think they overslept that day? What do you think if you were about to receive the Torah and talk to God? Would you like sleep late that night, or would you wake up early? What do you think they did? Huh? You would think that they didn't sleep, right? They were so excited that they would just stay up all night from the excitement, right? I know I can't sleep when I'm excited about something that's happening the next day, or I like constantly wake up and I'm like, but guess what? They overslept. They overslept. And so one of the ways that we do a tikkun for that is the custom that we have of tikkun leil hashavuot. Who can tell us what tikkun leil hashavuot is? What do we do? When do we learn? The night of Shavuot or the night before Shavuot? The night before. It's part of the prep, right? So because they overslept, we're sort of doing the tikkun for that. And the way that we do the tikkun is we stay up all night learning. Now, why would that be something that we'd want to do besides the sleeping thing, right? We're trying to prepare the sleeping thing. Has anyone ever stayed up at night to learn, whether it's for a test or Torah? Has anyone done, what's the energy like at night when you're like studying or learning? What's it like? Is it distracting? Is it hard? Is it easy? Is it clear? Is it difficult? What's it like? What? It's hard. Why is it hard? You're tired. Your body is saying, no, I don't want to do this right now, right? But you're forcing yourself. So it's going above nature. Nature says go to sleep, and we're saying, no, I'm pushing through what my physical body wants, and I'm going to push through this because I want to create the spiritual vessel to receive the revelation, the aura, the light that Hashem is going to give to me. That's what we're doing. So essentially what we do is we read all of the Torah, all of the 5 books of Moshe. We read each parsha, we read the first 3 psukim and the last 3 psukim. And then we go through Tanakh, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, the Talmud, the Zohar. We do a whole thing, and it takes a very long time to do. Now, a lot of people in America make it into like a fun cheesecake party situation. I know when I was living in New York, we would go from shul to shul, there would be classes, and then there would be like cheese parties, right? Like everyone would just go and have like cheesecake. So there, people, it has become part of like mainstream culture that people stay up and do this learning, right? So in the Zohar, it explains the deeper meaning of why we do it. Who knows what the Zohar text is? What is it? Right? And what is it essentially? What is the Zohar? Yeah. Yeah. It's the mystical interpretation of the Torah. It's just like we have Rashi, right? When we learn the Torah, we have Rashi. Rashi is considered Pshat, which is simple, and Zohar would be Sod, which is the secrets, right? So whenever you want to go deep and try to understand the depth of Torah, you go to Zohar, you go to Chassidus, you go to Tan, you learn you go to the deeper Pneumius sources. So the Zohar says, based on what the Talmud says, the Talmud calls Shavuot the holy wedding. Why would Shavuot be called the holy wedding? Why would it be described as the wedding? Who's the bride and who's the groom? What's that? Right, Hashem is the groom. Yes, and who's the bride? The Jewish people, correct. So in Kabbalah, we learn that masculine energy represents giving, feminine energy represents receiving. So in this case, Hashem is the giver, he's giving us the Torah, and we're the receivers, we're receiving the Torah. So we're considered the feminine in this situation. So the Talmud calls it the holy wedding. It's the time when heaven meets earth, when the spiritual world reveals itself to the physical world, and it's the time when light can overcome darkness. So the Zohar says, whoever stays up at night to learn Torah on Erev Shavuot is like the bridal party, the ones that make the bride pretty and fix her hair and adorn her with jewels and put crowns on her. And it's really saying that you're doing something very special here. And they say, and they give you a promise, they say, whoever stays up to learn Torah at whatever level they can, they are protected for the entire year. They are protected from harm for the entire year. If that's not motivation to stay up, and I don't know what is, but it's really incentivizing people to understand the importance of this night and how important it is in anything you do in life. Preparation is key. The more prepared you are, the more you will be able to succeed at whatever it is you're trying to achieve. So if what we're trying, sorry, go ahead. It's for both, because we both receive the Torah. Yeah, so Tikkun Leil Shavuot, you can actually buy it as a book where they have the whole Seder, the whole order of the learning in one book, so you don't have to do it on your own. But if some people do the whole Seder and some people just learn from the Torah, whatever they want to learn for that night. So everyone it does at their own level, depending on what you have the ability to do. But if you want to do like the 100% way, you get the Seder, and then usually men do it at shul, and then they come home, they sleep for a couple of hours, and then they go back to shul for the davening of that day. So we see that here there's a wedding. There's a bride, there's a groom, we're part of the bridal party. If we stay up to learn, we're going to get rewarded. So there's the whole buildup, right? So now I want to talk to you about this concept of Keter Malchus, right? Keter means what? Keter means crown, and what does Malchut mean? Malchut, Malka means queen. Malchut, what is it? What? Monarchy. Monarchy. It means kingdom, like a kingdom. A Keter means kingdom, right? So A keter is always above the head, right? It's something that you put on top of your head, right? So in Kabbalah, we learned that the Torah is compared to a keter, it's compared to a crown. Why? Because the wisdom that we receive from the Torah is like a crown over our heads. It says in the Midrash that when the Jewish people received the Torah, they wore two crowns, one for Naaseh and one for Nishma. What does that mean, Naaseh and Nishma? What was that about? What was Naaseh and Nishma? Does anyone remember that? Go ahead.
That's what the nation is.
When what? When did they answer that? When Moshe told the Jewish people, Hashem has a gift for you, they said, Naaseh v'nishma. They said, we'll do whatever Hashem wants. Naaseh means we'll do, v'nishma, we'll listen. Normally, you listen first and then you do, right? You were like, what's in the contract? What do I have to do? What are the terms of the contract? And then you sign the contract. But they did the other way. They believed in Hashem so much, they said, we will do whatever you say, and then we will hear what the details are. So because they had so much emunah in Hashem, they received two crowns. So let's explore the concept of keter menucha. What is the keter? What is the crown that we receive when we receive the Torah? So as we said, the keter is surrounding our head, right? So what does the head energy represent? What does the head represent? It's a symbol for what? The head is a symbol for... No. The mind, the intellect, right? Thinking, right? So if you have something above the head, what do you think that represents? Before you think about something, what's the seed that gets things going? Before you think about it, what motivates a thought? What feeds a thought? Right? Which emotion do you feel before you think of something? What's the core emotion? Desire. Everything starts with desire, right? Everything that we manifest starts with wanting it, right? If you don't want it, you're not going to manifest it. So keter represents desire, will, vision, goal. It represents everything that we want in potential, right? So when we receive the Torah, it's Hashem showing us what is our vision for this world? What is the purpose for the world? What is the point of why we were created? And what is the point of creation? So when we say keter melucha, we become queens. We're all part of the divine queen, and we're putting on our crown, which is the crown of the Torah. Now, the crown of the Torah means that we tap into the wisdom. What is actually in the Torah? If you were to describe what is Torah, what would you say the Torah is? Go ahead. The way of life? What do you mean? Like instructions? Correct. Torah is the instructions for how to live our life. Torah comes from the root word ho'a'ah, which means to teach. Right? So the Torah means to teach, instructions. It's instructions for life. It's basically like when you buy anything and you get an instruction manual and it tells you this is how you're supposed to use it. The Torah is like, okay, Hashem is the creator. He created us and he's telling us, here you go. This is the way to live your best life. Now, in psychology, I don't know if you guys are into psychology here, but I certainly am. And there's been a lot of research to show that true lasting happiness, people experience that when they're working towards a goal, not necessarily even achieving the goal yet, just working towards a goal, having a vision, knowing what you want, going for it. That makes you happy when you know why you're waking up every day, what's your purpose, what's your meaning, what's the reason why you're doing what you're doing. And so on Shavuot, Hashem gave us our purpose. He told us, this is the greater purpose of creation. This is why the world was created. And now let me show you how you fit in within that purpose for creation. Does that make sense? Does anyone have any questions or comments before we continue? Okay, so I want to share something with you that I thought was really cool. The word for Israel, which is the Jewish nation, Israel, is gematria with numerical value 541, which is the same numerical value for Or v'choshech. What is Or? And what's choshech? Light and darkness has the same numerical value as Israel. What does that mean? If they share the same numerical value, that means there's a connection. Our job is to unite opposites, to take the physical world and infuse it with spirituality, to take darkness and infuse it with light, to take evil and infuse it with goodness. That's our job. Our job as the Jewish people is to lift the world, to take the duality and unite it into harmony and balance, which I thought was really, really beautiful. Okay. Oh, this was really cool. I love this. So at Har Sinai, Hashem raised us to a level of consciousness that was the same exact level of high consciousness as Adam and Chava in the Garden of Eden. So basically, Hashem pushed the reset button, and all the mistakes and all the negative things that happened since that time, it was like blank slate. Here we go. Let's go back to the beginning. Let's go back to the start. That's what happened in Har Sinai. We went back to Gan Eden. We went back to Eden consciousness. Now, what do we know what was so special about the experience at Gan Eden before the sin? What do we know was so unique about the experience that Adam and Chava had? Anyone remember? They were able to live forever. They were able to live forever. Immortality, they were able to live forever. So at the time of receiving the Torah, Hashem gave us the same gift. We were able to live forever. Hashem gave us the gift of immortality. And that meant no more Yetzer Hara. Hashem allowed us to be so powerful spiritually that we were able to overcome the negative side and just be in a state of complete pure consciousness. So then what I wanted to talk about next with you guys was this whole idea of the 50th gate. We know that the Jewish people went down so low in Egypt, they were in the 49th level of impurity, and then they got to the level of the 50th. How many days did we count from Pesach to Shavuot in the Omer? How many days was that? How much? What'd you say? I didn't hear. What did you guys say? 49 days, exactly. How many weeks is 49 days? Exactly. So Shavuot. No, it's fine. So Shavuot represents Shavuot is the 7 weeks. That's why we call it Shavuot. Sheva Shavuot, 7 weeks. But it's also connected to the word saver. If you take Shavuot, Sheva, right? Sheva is also the same letters as saver. What does saver mean? Full, when you're satisfied, when you're full. That they reached a point where they were whole, they were full, they were satisfied, they were at peace, they were just complete. They were in a state of completion. And so we have the same ability to access that feeling of wholeness, that feeling of completeness, that feeling of fullness, of satisfaction by receiving the Torah, right? So this is a really cool teaching. This is actually one of the reasons why I love to teach, is because when I'm preparing, I learn new things. So I learned something new, which I'm excited to share with you. So we know that when you learn Torah, you're not supposed to just learn the Torah and just accept what somebody says about the Torah, right? Sometimes you learn Torah and you're like, I don't understand this. So you'll be like, okay, what does Rashi say? What does this one say? What is, like, you're trying to get other people's perspectives on what the Torah is saying. But the truth is, Kodem Roshi v'achakach Rashi. First, you're supposed to use your head. Then you refer to somebody else's perspective on it, right? So we learn from the Rabbanim, they teach us that every Shavuot, there's like a cosmic download of consciousness and wisdom. And so for 2023, for this year, the wisdom of the Torah that comes down is not the same kind of Torah that our grandfathers got in the cosmic download 100 years ago. Every generation, there's a new download. There's a new consciousness. There's a new kind of wisdom that is specifically tailored for this generation and for what we're experiencing, what's relevant to us, what we understand. You can't explain what we're going through now to someone who you would have met from like 200 years ago. They wouldn't understand it. So the same way, when we interpret the Torah, we're looking at it from our lens, from our times, from our experience in the modern world. And so, and when we learn Torah, we're supposed to have chidushim. What is a chidush? Anybody know what a chidush is? What you hear, the word, the Hebrew, the root word is what? Chidush. What Hebrew word do you hear? Renew. But what's the Hebrew word that you hear there? Chodesh, new. You're supposed to, every time you learn Torah directly with the text, you're supposed to engage in it in a way that something new comes up for you that nobody told you. It's just you and Hashem. The text is there as a conversation for you with Hashem, right? So whenever you're engaging in the Torah, you're building a relationship with Hashem, and something new is supposed to come up for you, right? And so what I learned from my teachers is that at Shavuot, that's when you get those chidushim. That's when Hashem is like, okay, this is the Torah that you're going to learn this year that's unique to you, that only you are going to understand. And obviously, it's our responsibility to share it. Now, this is really cool. The actual symbol for the month of Sivan, the Gemini, is the twin, the Teumim, right? And most of the time, every month of the calendar, it's like different animals, right? You have the fish for Pisces, you have the bull for Taurus. This is like one of the only, maybe there's one more, where it's when you see a symbol of people, two people, you see the twins. Why? It's supposed to explain something to us about the energy of this month, that this is the month of relationships, right? When you see the luchot, right? Where Hashem has the 10 commandments, there's the two luchot, that's also the twins, right? One luach is for the mitzvot between you and Hashem, and the other luach is the mitzvot between you and other people, you and people. One ben adam makom, one ben adam lechavero, right? And so everything in the Torah is about relationships. Newsflash, it's not about let's make your life difficult. It's about how can I make your life better? Let me teach you how you can get through life. Whether it is, if you actually sat down and read the mitzvot and you saw like all the mitzvot, you would see the majority of them are related to how you relate with other people. Because Hashem wants you to succeed in life, right? So obviously there's like so much more I can share. But I want to take a minute to just let you engage together. And I was thinking what would be really cool to do in Chavruta, and we'll break up into pairs of two. And here's the question I have for you for your discussion. What new Torah did you learn in the past year that really deeply resonated with you, and how did it change your life? I know that you're all on a journey and everyone connects to Torah in a different way. I want you to share with your chavruta, did you learn something in the last year? Just one thing that you can think of that you learned that really was like very meaningful for you, that was from the Torah, and how did it change you? Okay, so let's do that now. And then I'll give you about like 10 minutes and then we'll share with the group after, okay? Okay, so I asked the group to take a minute. I asked the group to take a minute to reflect on something in the last year that you learned in Torah that had an impact on you, something that you remember as like a teaching in the Torah that actually really impacted you. And before I forget, I wanted to dedicate this class for the healing of my mom, Jacqueline Batalia. That Hashem should bless her with the refuah shalema. And I also wanted to dedicate this class to my father, David Ben Zahar, that he should have a Ilui Nishma in the spirit of this class. Okay, so I would love to hear some of your thoughts of what you learned this year. Let's start on this side. And just say your name first before you speak. Go ahead. Just first name is fine. Yeah.
Sarah. The question was, what was the beginning?
What Torah did you learn in the last year that had like a deep impact on you?
I think honesty is a really big thing that like so it's really hard. And it's not just like about how I dress, but also the inside, like spiritually. And
So you're saying modesty is not just about the physical way, the outside, but modesty can also be something expressed from within.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
but also like a woman speaks and how she talks to people.
Yes.
And how she
How she carries herself. Yes.
Also, it's what's inside of you that's mostly something that holds you together. So that's something that made me stronger and made me feel more confident in myself and made me feel like.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, that's a huge huge
Yeah, it's
teaching.
a really big thing, but
Yeah.
also like, it's like really important to me, and I think that like after the years and stuff, like it makes it puts me together and it's
That's beautiful. Oh Hashem, that's really beautiful. Sarah? Okay, fine. You don't. Okay, go ahead. Say your name. We're just sharing.
You know what I'll share, so you know you guys don't know. And I don't know, for me, it would be a big thing that I learned is that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
A thing that I've been, I don't want to say struggling with, but a big thing that I wanted in my life was a good seafood, like a good one. And
Yes.
that's a secret.
Okay.
It's kind of like the 40th day of the last Mishra.
Yeah.
Was the day I met her brother.
Oh wow. Baruch Hashem, that's incredible. Don't you love when it happens like that timing? It's like so.
Yeah, and Hashem is going with her.
Baruch Hashem. Oh, you should have a lot of hatzlacha together. Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. Go ahead. What's your name? What is it? Shani.
I think that, like, as you get older, every year, you just see the one a different lens. And, like, I know a lot more now, like, I'm older, probably, definitely. Like, every year, it's just like, you see it differently and you understand it in a different way. So, like, it never gets boring.
I love that. I always think of it as like a building that like when you're on the first floor and on the 10th floor, you see things completely different, and that's something that to look forward to as you get older is that the way you look at the world changes, hopefully, if you're working on yourself, and that you gain a level of perspective that I personally think that not only is it exciting to learn new things and to understand life in new ways, but also it gives a sense of peace and calm, which I think is really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Go ahead. Okay.
Usually, I mean, I don't know why I keep thinking of insurance. It's horrible. You're just speaking about it, and I think that's something I noticed within this year specifically, is like I started to date, like, Shidduchim, whatever. I think that we were speaking about it when that's hurt, that's not. I mean, hopefully. But I was thinking about also like back to and like really understanding that there's like beauty in every person, even if they're not your person, but acknowledging that you can learn something from Kodakad and like Hashem puts you to meet people, even if they're not your person, like
Yes.
to understand things deeper about yourself and about the person sitting in front of you, not everything about you.
Absolutely. And you can, I love that. That's beautiful. And you can also extend that outside of Shidduchim from the perspective that if you see that everything that you're coming in contact with in your life is really Hashem communicating with you. And if you have you're open and you're receptive to, you could see that there's so much to learn from every experience, Beautiful.
Yeah, so, we were speaking about also Emunah and Bitachon, because I was telling her that Emunah was one of the main topics that got me into like the religion. Like I wasn't as connected, and then when I started learning about that topic, like it really like brought me in and I love learning Emunah, is my favorite topic. But recently I went to a shiur that taught me more about the side of bitachon. And I wasn't so like knowledge about that, but Emunah is more having the faith and really like always like having like, Emunah that Hashem is doing everything for a reason, like you said, like meeting these people for a reason, and then bitachon is really just letting go and letting the course guide you and I was giving it as like an example on my honeymoon. We went ziplining and the guys were like the people that were setting us up. They told us like, no, you can let go. Like we were doing the ones where you're like literally flying and like I was so nervous I wasn't trusting only, but like I finally let go and like I trusted and we flew like so it's in that perspective Hashem like having Emunah and bitachon together is just letting go and flying and like that's something that I love.
Beautiful. Wow, what an amazing example. I think of it, bitachon is like emunah in action, right? Because emunah, you could have emunah and you could think about it and you could understand it, but bitachon is when you actually apply it to your life, where you're like, okay, what am I going to do to show that I have emunah in Hashem, right? So you just let it go. You were just like, I'm just doing this.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Mazel tov again.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. What's your name?
Linda.
Hi, Amanda.
So I was saying kind of about Nishma Kochai, because I've done it a few times with different groups and like seeing how sometimes these like people are like my friends and I see like they're praying for something specific, like let's say to get married or to meet their people and like it's usually like they really like want to get married. This is the most example that I see.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the times or a few times I've seen like they'll like meet someone and then it doesn't work out and like they kind of realize like maybe I'm praying for marriage but maybe like I need to like take a step back and like realize like Hashem is gonna do the right thing for me and I don't need to I don't know some people like pray for marriage I think like that can be to like pray for just like Hashem to do it when it's the right time.
I agree. I can tell you from my own experience that whenever I was dating someone, I would always say to Hashem, if this is the right one, then bring us closer together. And if he's not the right one, then please just end it as soon as possible, because you don't want to waste your time, right? And it's very hard to know who's right and who's wrong. Like you want to give people a chance, but you also don't want to like stick around if it's, so you want Hashem to guide you in that process so that you can make the best decision.
Yeah, and it's like Hashem always answers the prayers, but sometimes it's not exactly what you wanted. Like he always answers it in some way.
Beautiful. I love that.
Like it's part of the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Hi.
Shira,
Hi, Shira.
I have two things. One always is that like the biggest thing I ever learned is that you can always connect your physicality with your spirituality. Like that is what they're for, to be together. So anything that you do with your mundane everyday life, spirituality can always be connected to anything that you do, even opening up a water bottle, no matter what it is, you can, and that's like part of how I connect to Hashem on a daily basis because I created that awareness for myself while obviously learning it from people that are wiser than me. So that's one.
Beautiful.
And two is that I really learned like time is everything. And Hashem puts things in your life when they're supposed to be and when they're not there. And like, well, Hashem, like you see it. Sometimes you don't see it, but sometimes you do and you understand. And it's like the most satisfying thing. And it also just like creates more of like a fun in letting go and letting God.
Yes.
So
Beautiful. Beautiful teaching. Also, I was going to share with you that, you know how like sometimes you go through an experience and only like a few years later, you reflect back and you're like, oh, thank God that it was like that. But in the moment when it happened, you thought it was like the worst thing ever. Right. So it's always easier to reflect backwards, right? But if you were to like, let's say you're going through a hard time now, to just say, you know what, I don't really understand it right now, but just like in the past, I was able to see that everything is for the good. I need to trust that right now, everything is for the good, right? To sort of rely on past experiences and say, Kol Tova. I have a little mantra that I learned from a kid's book. It's called Rina's Rainy Day. It's like one of my favorite kids' books. And it says, Gam zu Tova. I know this is good. Hashem makes things happen the way that they should, right? That everything is for the good, even if we don't understand it. And I think that if you have that mindset, you can get through anything. Who would like to go next? Go ahead. Hi, Kaya.
It's basically what you said, what it was saying.
Just say it in one sentence what you were going to share so that you get to articulate the teaching.
Really, no, not kind of, everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason, and everything's from Hashem, and really like, letting go and let Hashem.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the best. Thank you for that. Hi, what's your name? Hi, Emily.
Collaborating.
Okay, cool.
So, our grandfather is in the hospital. So, things that I've been doing lately, I've been praying more than I ever have, and praying to Hashem more than I ever do. Also, my father and my whole family, just learn and cherish every moment. It was like a month ago, I was able to speak to him, and now like he can't even talk back to me.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And what's the teaching that you wanted to share? That you learned from Torah? You were saying that what?
If it closer you get to the Lord,
Yeah.
and I'm starting able to realize like changes, better things happening to you and changes like for the good.
And what's your grandfather's name so we can have?
You mentioned that.
Oh, in the beginning of the class? Okay, great. Hashem should bless him with Rosh. Miracles can happen any day. Go ahead. What's your name?
I'm Dad.
Hi, Gal.
Julia.
Hi, Leah.
We're being together. Learning that we have to be nice with people and not go straight into fighting. Because we don't like to yell
I love that. Where did you learn that? You mean, is that a Torah thing or just in general?
I think more in general.
Well, it's in Torah, the way that it gets taught is this concept of what is it? What is it?
I said that's a nice promote.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Respect
You to respect, yeah, absolutely. You know, a convert came to the Rabbi Hillel, and he said, you know, can you teach me all of the Torah on one leg? Meaning just give me the shortcut version, right? And he said to him, "V'ahavta kamocha," now go and learn. That encapsulates the entire essence of Torah, is about how to be good to other people. So I really think that that's really a very important principle. Natalia, did you want to share something?
Yes, so this year I actually learned the importance of manifesting and asking for those shows and how it works. Thing like I ask for things, specific things, and they come to me, and it's something that I feel like everyone should believe in and learn how powerful it is. Because the sooner you learn, the faster you're gonna get what you want. So
How do you do that?
So what I like to do personally, it's not very like a religious form, but I like to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to take a paper and pen and just write down exactly, specifically what I want. So I wanted a relationship, I wanted a specific man. Wrote down exactly what he looked like from head to toe. Personality, the way he is with kids, with family, like financially, what does he do for a living, everything. And like, thank God, that's what I got.
It's beautiful.
And so I'm just like write things down and do it tonight.
Yeah, that's like it's like not foundation for like what I already have, but I don't have it yet. So it's like
Yes. But also you could say that that's really at the core of tefillah. Like the whole purpose of tefillah is to help you crystallize what it is that you want, right? A lot of people think that tefillah is that you just say the words that the rabbis told you to say. But really what they're trying to do is help you to get to the point where you know what to say on your own. Right? Like they say, I want good health, I want parnasa, I want protection, like I want refuah, like all the things that you would think everybody would want. But you're really supposed to get to the point with tefillah, with davening, that you can just articulate for yourself super clearly what it is that you want. And the more that you do it, the more it crystallizes it. You're like basically like transmitting to the universe this. But at the same time, I have to say, because Kabbalah talks a lot about the law of attraction and manifestation, that the universe isn't like like a gum machine where you put in the quarter and you get what you want. It doesn't just automatically give it to you. There is a system to that, and you've obviously aligned yourself with that system, because otherwise, if it was that easy, everyone would get whatever they want, however they want it all the time. But we know that there's much more to that, right? Like what we were saying about timing, we don't always get things at the time that we want them, and Baruch Hashem that you were able to manifest that, but sometimes we have to wait, right? And part of the waiting process is that it prepares us so that when we do receive the thing that we're asking for, we're ready for it, right?
Exactly.
So
I believe in that very much.
beautiful.
Question.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. So we want to understand, what if, let's say, I'm gonna give you the example stream. What if, let's say, okay, I'm giving this. Let's say I ask Hashem, I want a pink Gucci bag, okay?
Yes,
And I keep asking for it, and I keep asking for it, and I keep asking for it, but he sends me a black Gucci bag.
yes.
How are we supposed to know what, like, in our head, yes, that's good for us, but Hashem is like, no, that's not good for you, so I'm not sending it to you? How does it work?
Like, we could be asking for the wrong thing, like the things that are wrong for us, and God will send it to us. In like different form.
Well, it's always about the intention, right? And the attention that you give to something. So for example, if you say, Hashem, I want a pink, what was it, pink or black?
It was
A pink one. Let's say you say, Hashem, I want Dafka, a pink Gucci bag. You know why? Because I'm going to use it at a tzedakah event to raise awareness about, I don't know what, like it has to be for the sake of something other than just selfish desires. If you're asking for something because you're trying to manifest something good from it, and there's something positive that's supposed to come out of that, then that's a good prayer. But if you're literally just asking for something just for your ego because it looks good, that's not a really prayer. That's just ego talking. What'd you say?
part of like being good to yourself, and I'm so serious.
No.
Being good to yourself,
Yeah.
like spoiling yourself and taking care of yourself.
Yes.
And I'm saying I need. So if you get yourself if you want a Gucci bag, and
Yeah,
Hashem says, like, what is specific, like, you got money for a reason, like, for Hashem, you're
Yes.
supposed to, obviously, it shouldn't take over your life, but you're supposed to have to make a Gucci bag.
well, it's just like what we learned earlier,
Seems to be like
intention.
That's a program to me, like maybe that's something.
No, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Because no, because you're Jewish, and when you're a Jew, you have a specific purpose. It's literally what we talked about like a half hour ago. Remember when I said Israel is Gematria 541 and it's the same as Ol v'Choshech? Your job is not to plug into just the physicality of life. Our job as Jews is to always infuse everything with spirituality. Who said that? You literally were the one that said that. That everything that we do. What's that?
Getting it back for yourself doesn't like contradict.
No, but if you're davening to Hashem and you're making it like this is important, no, it's not important.
Saying it's important, but we're saying as, like I'm saying, Okay.
Let's say you wanna be like your zigzag guy.
Yeah.
Like this is your type, I want blonde hair, blue eyes, and you're dying for that, your whole life, you're like, oh my god, I want blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah,
And so you should love that, like it's just not you, and God sends you brown hair, black eye, brown
Yeah.
eyes. Always opposite. No, it's like, we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
Know what I mean?
yeah, I do.
Okay, I guess I'm not just gonna get blonde hair, blue eyes.
But why do you like? Why do you want the blonde hair? Why? Because you want to like be like a hybrid with babies that actually fire babies like. Bring octopus, or is it just because you want pretty kid like?
Right, and what's the intention? What's the intention? What's the intention?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And that's why these help, like, I want third child, fourth child, whatever.
yes,
And for you, God knows that, like, like, the amount of that you are only good with two kids,
yeah.
like, is it wrong to ask, like?
It's absolutely not wrong. No.
You want a third kid, like.
Yeah, well, our superpower as Jewish people is the power of tefillah. And we get that from Avraham Avinu. We learn from Avraham, we can always go above nature, above what's in the mazalot. Like he was not supposed to have children, right? And Hashem said to him, go outside of nature, go outside of mazalot. We have the power to manifest on super high levels through the power of tefillah. You can change your mazal. No. You can change your mazal through tefillah. That's the power we have. That's what I'm saying. Okay, mazal means destiny. This is what this is what you're supposed to have. And tefillah says, sorry, I'm gonna change my mazal. I'm gonna keep davening and davening and davening and chesed and tzedakah and tefillah and everything. I'm pushing. You can do it. That's what Judaism is about. That you can, if it's for something good and holy, you can do it. Go ahead.
I feel like most of it's usually positive selves. Things have to be built in. You're gonna say
But-
wrong and find this. No, I know, but in general, don't think it happen, figure out what's inside, and be like, okay, this person should be. Something along, that's a lot of their meaning.
Yeah.
But it should be properly and how it's gonna be.
Yeah, but you know what? We're physical beings, so it's okay to also ask for the physical. There's nothing wrong with that. Because it could be both. Nobody says that the spiritual is more important than the physical. Physical and spiritual can both be important.
Mostly you say someone to look into someone that I would find.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, ladies, this was super fun. I hope you got a lot out of today's class. I'd like to ask some of you, what was your biggest takeaway from today's class? What did you learn today that was new that you never learned before?
Like what you said about it's fun to be good on that, and how you want to very when I have to be only time that is I like that. What's the other sign that is?
A Virgo. Virgo, that's too loud for I think it's Libra. No, for Elul comes out to Virgo. Yeah. What's that? Yeah, absolutely. You could do my I have an online class you can watch. Yeah, I do a whole workshop on astrology where we could just go deep on each thing. What'd you say? Yeah.
The American is like the sun. And then
It correlates. with
No, the calendar is the secular calendar is based on the sun and the Jewish calendar is based on the moon, but the signs are all the same. They all have the same symbol in the zodiac. Yeah. That's a complicated. Yeah, I'm also a lot of people. So it means that you have the influence of both. Was there any other takeaways from today's class? Anybody else have the takeaway? Something that you learned today that you didn't know from before?
To give Gemini's a little more respect.
I'm married to a Gemini, so that's always a good thing. So the energy of this month is communication, because Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, which is why we receive the Torah during this month, because it's about communicating wisdom, intellect, intelligence. Geminis are extremely intelligent. They literally are like super knowledgeable about so many things. They just love to learn. What's that? Both. So it's a time of like learning and communicating. It's a good time to like write or, journal. It's like, it's all about, expressing, communicating. Yeah. They're amazing. Yeah. Very special people. You're a Gemini? Nice. Okay, ladies. Chodesh Tov, Chag Sameach. I hope you have a beautiful Chag Shavuot. See you next time. Thank you.